Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Planning Board meeting for July 8th, 2024. I'd like to call on Mr. Keith Braswell for the invocation.
Please bow your head. Dear Lord, you ask that all things be thankful, and we're thankful to be here today. Please lead, guide, and direct us in our decisions for this great town. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have any items of information prior to starting?
Yes, so wanted to note that there are no consent items this month. The printed agenda is different than the posted agenda, so the June 10th meeting minutes will be provided next month. And then for new business number 1, the possible motion regarding the Viridia pattern book, we do not have a quorum for that one item due to a couple of folks that will need to be recused. So that one will be heard on August the 12th.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move into the public comment. The purpose of the public comment is to allow the public to speak on items that do not appear in this agenda under the public hearings. Any members of the public wish to comment on the public hearing items will be called to at the appropriate time later on the agenda. Please sign in over to your left, my right, if you wish to speak on any of the items that are not on this agenda. Do we have anybody who signed up today for public comment? Yes, okay. All right, we'd like to step on up.
Elizabeth Raystedt, 3113 Friendship Road. I am here with a group of 4 people, so I am going to need more than 3 minutes, but I won't need 9 minutes.
Your time is granted.
Thank you. So what was on the posted agenda was the Viridia pattern book, which is now under the new business items, so this is the time that we can have some comment. What we found very interesting about the pattern book is if you look at the pattern book on page 6 of the attachment that was made available to the public, you have the town of Apex, you have the developer, you had paid consultants, but you didn't have the community involved in this pattern book. And we found that to be a little concerning. We also found it concerning that there wasn't actually a legal ad for the public hearing that was posted on the agenda. And yes, we're still trying to learn when there's a 10-day legal ad and when there's not. But when you look at this pattern book, it's 86 pages long, and it proposes many changes to the UDO. And I'm not here to say it's bad changes because we have not had time to review it. But we were just really surprised that this type of document would come in front of the planning board without there being some additional public meetings. And we go back and we reference our experience with the Western Big Branch study area that they are working on. We're about 1,800 acres and Viridia is about 900 acres. There's been 5 public meetings that the planning department has had with us, and we greatly appreciate that type of participation. But we are very interested in what's going to happen with Viridia because it's our properties that the town needs in order to put the force main in to deliver sewer to Viridia. And so when you're impacting my property for a development, I'd like to at least understand the implications of handing over all of this authority to a responsible person within the pattern book. It seems that there's a lot of changes to the UDO. And again, the planning board agenda wasn't posted until Wednesday. Thursday was a holiday weekend. I did not look at it until today. But there seems to be a lot of changes, and it raises questions of, is it keeping with Apex's small town character? Or is it setting a precedent to really change the dynamics of our community? Is this setting a precedent for the next developer to come in with a pattern book? I'm not opposed necessarily to neighborhood overlay districts, because we're trying to get one for our district or our area to protect and control what happens in our community, to have a quality of life that we bought into years ago, and that was actually advertised in all of the different Apex planning board maps and all. So you go look at the past, used to be equestrian and horses were shown on all of the ads that were put out. You no longer see that. That stopped around 2019. So our community's playing catch up a little bit, that the town has changed on us. And so that's why we're like, hey, we're concerned about which changes is happening in Viridia. Now, Joe Grazios with RXR Realty, he's got my phone number, he's got my email address. The town does, a number of you guys do. It just seems that something this big for 900 acres that's going to impact my property, there should be something more than just an agenda item. There needs to be more public meetings. There needs to be a workshop. I need someone to sit down and explain the 86 pages to me. I can't go to the town's UDO and compare every single line in that many pages. It's just too big, too hard. So I know that the public hearing is probably going to be at the next meeting, but I just wanted you guys to understand that we need a little more due diligence. You know, this is America where we're supposed to participate. We want to participate. I'm just asking you to give us the opportunity to participate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Stitt. And are there any resources where Ms. Stitt can reach out to town directly to get
I can
ask questions?
follow up with you on some of your points. I think that will make some things clear, and then we can have a dialogue if you have any questions between now and August. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other public comments? Okay, seeing there are none, we'll close the public comment section. Were there any emails for public comment? No, okay. All right, we're skipping through the consent, going on to public hearings. Public hearing under item number 1, Ms. Angela, in regards to the public hearing and a possible motion regarding amendments to the Apex Transportation Plan and the Middle Creek Greenway.
Yes. Good afternoon, members of the Planning Board. I'm Angela Reinke, your Parks Planning Manager in our Parks and Recreation and Cultural Resources Department. The purpose of the public hearing is to consider amendments to the bicycle and pedestrian system plan map along the Middle Creek Greenway corridor. The proposed amendments include changes along Reliance Avenue, Classic Road, and 1010 Road, which establish the Middle Creek Greenway corridor route through Apex and identifies connections to the Middle Creek corridor. The Middle Creek Greenway is mapped as a part of the Great Trail State Plan and provides bicycle and pedestrian connectivity from Holly Springs through Apex to the town of Cary. The route being recommended was identified through a Greenway feasibility study, which was funded through a grant from the North Carolina Department of Transportation Integrated Mobility Division and was completed by VHB Engineering in coordination with town staff. A substantial effort was made to engage the businesses and property owners within the corridor study area. This exhibit of the proposed Middle Creek Greenway route shows a change in designation of the alignment of the corridor south of US Highway 1 in the Lufkin Road area. The first recommendation is to remove the current designation of the route from Pristine Water Drive, Burma Drive, Classic Road, Lufkin Road, and 1010 Road, and to designate the Middle Creek Greenway corridor. So we're moving all of these in gray as the alignment, instead designating the Middle Creek corridor to follow the Production Drive, Reliance Avenue, and 1010 Road alignment shown in green. So up through here. Understand that this designation does not show the trail type to be greenway on the bicycle and pedestrian systems plan map, but once constructed as side path, which is 10-foot wide asphalt paved trail, this route would be designated on maps and signed as the Middle Creek Greenway. The following list of amendments are being proposed to implement the recommendation of the Middle Creek Greenway feasibility study and to align the bicycle and pedestrian facilities on the bicycle and pedestrian systems plan map. The amendments include removing proposed side path from the south side of Classic Road from Lufkin Road to proposed greenway, which connects west to Highway 55. So removal of this section here as side path and just still providing the connection here. Adding proposed side path on the north side of Classic Road from Alliance Avenue to proposed greenway, which connects west to Highway 55. So designating this side path on the north side of Classic Road, that would provide connection west in the future. Adding proposed side path along the west side of Reliance Avenue from 1010 Road to Classic Road. So adding side path on Reliance from 1010 south to Classic and down to Production. And designating proposed side path to be on the west side of Reliance Avenue, south of Classic Road to the intersection with Production. So that's this little piece right here. Let's see. Reclassification of proposed greenway to proposed side path and extending proposed side path to Reliance Avenue along 1010 Road. So adding side path along this side and reclassifying this area that was shown before. Removing the street crossing proposed at Meridian Point Road and relocating the trail crossing to be at the signalized intersection of Reliance Avenue and 1010 Road. So there's currently designation of a crossing being at this location, and we would move it south to the intersection that's already got a traffic signal. These amendments were presented to the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Advisory Commission at their May 28th meeting and were unanimously recommended for approval. Planning staff, Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources staff, and Transportation, Infrastructure, and Development staff have reviewed and are recommending approval of these amendments. Jenna Schaus and I are both available for questions that you might have. Yes.
Question. So is there still going to be a side path or some kind of accessibility to Lufkin, the school? Because it looks like there's some, like in I think the previous slide, there's like removal.
So there'll be a side path along the north side of Classic
Okay.
To Lufkin's property, and we met with the school principal and talked about potentially coming in at some point in the future to the backside near the parking lot of their school.
Okay. Thank you.
What was the actual, like, what was the reasoning or the purpose behind the change and moving it from where it was to where you're looking at going now?
So we had requested the feasibility study grant money to study the corridor and the alignment. One, because we got the trail to be on the Great Trail State Plan, so it's providing more of a connection between downtown Holly Springs, downtown Apex, and the Swift Creek Greenway that's in Regency of Town of Cary, which ultimately links to their downtown as well. And it has always been intended to go through a non-residential area, was mostly on street, but they looked at the amount of vehicle traffic. We studied the types of road conditions that are out there, the number of trucks and vehicle trips that happen. And so they evaluated, I think, 5 to 6 alignments within a 3 corridor option. And this is the recommendation of the most direct, safest, and providing connectivity route that came out of the study. We also did ensure that this Classic Road provides an east to west. So if we were to complete the corridor along paralleling US 1 that goes east to west, we would also be able to make that connection. And then we also have the Middle Creek corridor, which runs north to south.
Are there any environmental impacts with the small creek that's running east-west?
This one in
Yes.
Production, that's Middle Creek. A long time ago, we had Greenway running up along the side of that and found out that we had a lot of constraints at the time. There was also issues in the previous alignment crossing pristine water and having a wide enough crossing of the road section to that creek. So this is actually already constructed in that area. So we would just be widening, either expanding a sidewalk to a full 10-foot width, or we already have new projects are building that segment south of this cul-de-sac here at this point. So this will all be constructed with development that's ongoing today. Any other questions?
You were saying this is grant money.
The study was grant money, and it does set us up potentially for funding for design and potentially construction through the IMBD program.
Just to clarify one more time, on Classic Road, you're just removing side path on the west side of the road there,
The west side of the road,
but keeping it will continue in front of Lufkin.
correct, yeah, this
Okay.
will continue all the way across. And then there is side path along Burma Drive, that somewhat constructed all the way down to Pristine Waters. So we'll keep it on the south side from Burma Drive to the future Greenway that's in that overhead transmission line. If we get that built, we're working with Duke Power, Duke Energy to let them share the space with us, but that's a bigger ask, so. Any questions?
So is the future plan to go meet 55 on the west side?
Our current plan just generally shows a greenway alignment that would go to 55. We don't have a plan for over, under, through at a signal, but it's following the large overhead transmission line. We were able to work with Duke Energy to build it in this section right adjacent to it, and so we're working with the town of Cary and Duke Energy to connect along that same corridor in both directions. And then that ultimately feeds into the Viridia project property. So there's potential that we could provide a connection to there in the future. But we are looking at it being within the transmission. It's a 100-foot wide corridor. So hoping we could get them to, again, share some space.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, being that this one is a public hearing, are any members of the public who would like to speak on this? No? Okay, so we'll close the public hearing, bring this back to the board for any other further questions for Angela.
I have no questions.
No further questions.
Okay. Anybody like to make a motion?
Daniel would.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the amendments to the Apex Transportation Plan for the Middle Creek Greenway.
I will second that motion.
All right, so we have a motion by Daniel, second by Alyssa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on to new business. Item number 1 is going to be heard in August, which is Viridia. We're on to item number 2, Amanda Bunce, with possible motion regarding the various amendments to the UDO.
Okay, so we have 4 amendments for you. I'll pause after each one to see if you have any questions. The first amendment is to update language regarding participation by alternates for the Board of Adjustment. That's the one board that has alternate members since they hear quasi-judicial public hearing items. And so this is to add clarity to our practice, just to make it clear what the practice is. And the additional language to be added is alternate members shall be encouraged to attend all meetings of the Board of Adjustment, but shall participate in hearing, deliberating, and deciding a case only when acting in the place of a regular member. Any questions on that item? Okay. The next amendment is, again, just to add some clarity to voting requirements. There are voting statutes in state law that deal with when an abstention can count as a yes and when you can do that, but it does not clearly apply to appointed boards. And so it's the same language being added to the 4 boards that have their structure set up in the UDO: Planning Board, Board of Adjustment, Transit Advisory Committee, and Housing Advisory Board. And the additional language is that all regular, it's the same for all except Board of Adjustment. The language to be added is all regular members shall vote on any issue unless they have been disqualified pursuant to the conflict of interest section. And for Board of Adjustment, there's that language plus alternate members shall vote on any issue for which they are seated in place of regular members unless they have been disqualified pursuant to the conflict of interest section. So it's basically a duty to vote standard. Any questions on that one? Okay. The third amendment is just to ensure that this section of the ordinance is consistent with state law, which did change to require it used to be that you had to have a 4/5 vote of the Board of Adjustment to reverse an order requirement, decision or determination, but the state changed that to a simple majority, and this one section of the UDO got missed, and so this is to bring that in line with state law. And finally, recently when the amendments to the Watershed Protection Overlay District were heard back in April, there was a minor change to the built upon definition, but we also took that opportunity in section 6 to just simply refer to the definition section. Well, we found another reference to built upon area with the definition, and so we're simply striking the definition from Article 5 and referring to the definition section. So there's only one place the definition is listed, and that way it only has to be amended in one place going forward. So that's the amendments for today. Staff is recommending approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Amanda? None. Okay. We have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve all the amendments presented by Amanda.
Okay, we have a motion by Sarah. We have a second.
Second.
Keith for second. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries. Okay. Need one more motion for the day.
I'd like to make another motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Motion from Sarah, second from Jeff. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good night.